of what you've been doing with Orwit International. One thing I would ask, but later on as we continue, is more details of being a member, the benefits of being a member of Orwit International, and of course Passion Profit as well, as we continue to talk.
Okay.
So if you want to know more about these two organizations and how to be part of it, please keep following the conversation. Hashtag, of course, is The Morning Drift. So even on Twitter, ask questions. If women are watching today and they have questions, on the trade, also just directly ask them today. Frida is really willing to answer.
Absolutely.
Now, before we even go deeper into the specific organizations,
yes,
having all these years of experience in trade, you have, at least a perspective on the evolution of trade from the past centuries.
Yes.
If we can be closer, with the 21st century,
yes, what has transformed? How does it look like? What can we pick and run with? I always get excited when I'm asked that question, because I say I'm a product of international trade. When I was growing up, my mom did trade, and my dad went to work and my mom had her side hustle, even before the word entrepreneurship was there. But we saw her prepare goods and take to this shop in town, and every time she took goods to that shop in town, the environment at home changed. Then, it seemed like we had more money because we had better food, we had clothes, everybody was happy around the house. So as a young girl, I realized that there's something mom does that I want to do one day when I grow up. The interesting thing is this helped supplement my dad's income, and we went to very good schools. And after that, what happened is the organization hired me. And the organization hired me as operations manager for that company. And it was an exporter of handicrafts abroad. We exported handicrafts to Japan, Australia, a lot of it was going to America.
All right.
And then I learned trade. So now it was evolving from my mom, who was just doing stuff at home as a cottage trader. And then now that helped me go to school. And then that helped me also get into that value chain and start playing very actively. What happened is when I was in this organization, they started getting more orders than they could supply. And I remember my boss saying, turn them away.
Okay. And
that was how I started my first business. I did not steal our customers. I want everybody listening to hear that, because many times employees live with the database of their employers, and people shouldn't do that, all right, because there's enough for everyone.
There is enough for everyone.
What happened is more people wanted goods from East Africa,
yes,
and were not able to supply. So my boss said, let them know that we can't. So I sat back at home, after a couple of times sending out a fax. We didn't have email, by the way. So how has trade evolved?
Yes.
Those days, before we had the fax, we had something called a telex, that you could just type a couple of words. So he would say, send them a message and tell them we cannot. After sending a couple of those messages, I thought, there must be another way. I knew the suppliers, I knew what needs to be done. So I started my first company. Amazing. And I said, we can supply your orders, but this other company here, we trust it can supply your orders. So this company continued, and my company continued on the side.
And I like when you say there's enough for everyone.
There really is.
One thing that I need to bring home as we have this conversation, when people hear the word trade,
yes,
they don't relate with it from the level you have just brought out in your opening remarks. That woman back at home who's doing the handcraft,
yes,
the biashara woman, the vendors.
Yes.
This is what we're talking about this morning,
That's exactly what we're talking about. And how can trade improve their life? One, it can expand their role in the economy. Because you see, my mom was doing it from home,
yes,
and she took me to school. I was able to work in a formal organization. Now, when I started my company, it was formalized because I had access to skills and education. So that is what trade can do for women if they don't just do it at home, but they get into the global value chain. And getting into the global value chain is as simple as joining Orwit Nairobi, so that you can know what are the markets that are required, what do you need to do. Because as business support organizations, what we do is we provide the businesswoman with skills to enter trade. First, you must be competitive at home. You must have a product that is making, that is being sold well at home, is competitively sold at home, because there's standards and there's processes that you need to follow, and then you can be able to go into international trade. Like Orwit Nairobi's role is to help women that are already in business to get their revenue from at least 60% from exporting. And now it's not just goods. Because my mom was doing goods, I'm doing services. I'm people and business development. And now with Africa opening up, Kenya is normally looked at as one of the, one of the posh countries in Africa.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
As much as we talk so badly about our country, we are doing very well. And we have very skilled people. So there's lots of opportunity in services, so even beyond goods.
Yes.
But going to that woman back at home.
Yes.
Again, just looking at how my mom did baskets, and she did tie and dye. All right. So she didn't go abroad. She went abroad much later after I worked in these companies and lived abroad, and I invited her to come and visit me. But her products went abroad, and her products were quality products because the company I worked with made sure there was quality assurance. And these are things that I learned in this company. So trade can help women to expand their role in the economy. It can decrease inequality because my mom didn't have to sit at home waiting for her husband to bring money. She could participate, all right, and change, the environment at home. And then thirdly, it gave me access to skills and education because now she was able to pay my school fees. I was better able to get educated. And when I got into the global value chain and started working as an international trader, I started getting more skills and education from organizations like OWIT. And I got a scholarship to go abroad and learn entrepreneurship, especially for women, at Babson College, because now I was on the path of international trade. I was getting more access to information, access to networks, and that can happen to any woman who joins OWIT in Nairobi who wants to take that path.
And I like when you say I was on the path. Now I want to go back to women watching back at home, and most of you are probably, like you said, housewives. Some have just had their babies, so you're staying home for a period of time. Some just lost their jobs because you wondered, with this little income that we have to let go of the nanny. So then someone has to stay home, and that's mostly the woman. So this is very important for women watching back at home. You've just cleared school. You're the breadwinner back at home because now we have the single homes, and you're wondering, what can I do and still take care of my children? So I think it's very, very important now to know that there's OWIT International as we start, and of course we have Frida here to let us know what it would take also to be a member of OWIT International. Before we go into more of the benefits, you have engaged with a lot of women who are doing, like you said, your mom was doing something that just back at home. The woman watching back at home or starting, what would be the advice? You want to advise them on which trade to pick as a beginner. And as they put themselves or position themselves in that part of first in the country, and even as we look into the international part that we hope that they take, which are the specific things they can do?
Alrighty. The first thing, we don't recommend directly which business one needs to start because we don't know their background, we don't know their circumstances. But a business that is good for trade has first to be a business that is good at home. Are you formally registered? Are you already making some sales? Do you have some traction? Do you have access to capital? Because if you have access to, if you're going to go across the borders, remember you're going to have to do more. Maybe now you're supplying 20 dresses, and then if you get an organization that wants 1,000 dresses for 100 stores, what are you going to be able to do that? So being part of organizations like OWIT helps you in two ways. One, it helps you to get formal and competitive, and then it also gives you access to other women who may be doing what you're doing, and then you can collaborate. So you don't have to do it all by yourself. Just like my mom was doing, she was doing her little trade, but she collaborated with this organization, and her goods were able to get abroad. So it's a process. First, what is good at home? Charity starts at home. Is that what they say? Charity starts at home. So they need to first have a business at home, and have a business that is formalized, have a business that is competitive, and then be part of a group so that you can get the information that is needed. Which country needs what you have. And one good website to go to find what is needed in different countries is She Trades. She Trades by ITC. You just go to shetrades.com. And there's a lot of free classes that one can also attend there about export readiness.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So that's actually something. You just finished high school, you're trying to figure out what to do. Go to shetrades.com, start your classes, equip yourself, and then eventually we find you, you know, join Allwed International. I think this is really progressive for each and everyone who's watching. You mentioned gender inequalities. And it's not once, not twice. In conversations on social media and on media, have we talked about, you know, bridging that gap? And we still ask ourselves in 2022 if we're getting closer there. However, there's now the digital trade, of course, courtesy of many other, you know, situation, modernization, and now COVID-19. That almost 80% or 90% of the world moved digital.
Yes.
And you just want to talk about the digital trade because it looks like the in thing now. How does it even work? And of course, we're very curious in knowing if it really did help reduce the gender inequality.
I want to say trade reduces gender inequality, but we need to understand that when we're looking at gender, we're looking at both men and women.
Yes.
Because many times when people hear gender, they think women being empowered and the boy child being left behind. So I'm always careful to bring that up because first I have 3 sons. Yeah, so I want to make sure that when they hear me speak, they understand that I'm not trying to get women more powerful than them. There's a part for women and there's a part for men. And even at Allwed, we have men. I think at the international board, we have 3 men, all right? And in Nairobi, we have men who are members because you have to be a member before you can be on the board, the international board. But going back to has it decreased gender inequality? It has. And in as much as we require policies to make that happen more visibly, look at Kenya. Kenya, we have the ACPO. And ACPO may not be trade, but it's a sure way of getting into trade because access to government procurement opportunities, ACPO, in case somebody's wondering what the acronym is, access to government procurement opportunities for women and youth.
Yes.
So these opportunities, remember I said charity begins at home. If you can access this, if you can get access to this value chain, you are half ready. Because before you can supply to government, there is a process, there are prerequisites, and if the government accepts you, somebody abroad, somebody across the borders will look at you and you'll say that I supply this ministry, I supply that ministry. That already gives you a plus. So even as we look at it, we mustn't see that we may not be there, but we've taken strides, all right? Because that alone has given women and youth an opportunity to get those procurement opportunities, and they can get more money. The problem is there is a gap between the opportunity and the capacity building.
All right.
Yeah, because the capacity building is to help you understand. You see, when you get a government order, you can get a lot of, you will get a lot of money. And if you're not ready for that a lot of money, then you can get into a lot of trouble. One client I know got into, I wouldn't mention the name of the company she supplied, but she supplied this company and she got 92 million. But you see, when she got into procuring for the government, she had decided that there's a business she had that she wanted to do. She wanted to get into the business of real estate and not building the houses, but supplying the real estate. And so when she got her money, she was ready. She bought the land. She really bought a quarry. So, because she said she doesn't want to be waiting for her money 90, 120 days. She wants something that can pay her daily. So it's all about having a plan. All right. So you get into it, and then you get access to the money, and then you start what you'd really like to do instead of getting stuck there, because it can also be very rigorous.
Yes, and when you mention a plan, we are looking at how to start the plan and keep it in check as well.
Yes.
Because we have situations and scenarios of I started, which they always say is one of the most difficult things to begin. Yeah. And now I am stuck. You've mentioned stuck, I think, twice now. If you don't have a plan, you're probably going to get stuck. Also, I want to appreciate that women, I mean, over the years have been the most contributors to the economy.
They want to see data, so I'll be quiet. In this world of data, they want to see which report, what. Yeah, that's true. We have been. The truth is, we have been trading even before trade was, talked about. Like my mom. Yeah. My mom didn't go to school. All right, but she was trading.
But were they recognized?
She was not recognized. Her products were getting to America, to Japan, to Australia, wherever. She was not in the picture. It was this company that was taking them. But she was trading. All right, and that's why she took me to school, so that I can get into the picture.
and a lot of people are asking, okay, fine, this is where we are at now, and
Yes.
having this experience and now internationally, someone wants to know, you know, for you to get into trade, you want, like you said, you need to know which trade is most needed.
And we just start with business. Let's bring it really down and say, what business can I start?
Exactly.
And how to, because now that is my passion profit head, all right? You can start a business out of your passion, but the most important thing is that this business, this passion you have, must be solving somebody's problem.
All right.
And that problem that is being solved, this person must be willing and able to pay you. Then it becomes a business, otherwise it remains a hobby. So once you package this passion into a revenue generating venture, and we have a lot of problems in Kenya, and every problem is an opportunity, whether it is the garbage or the traffic or the no lights here and no lights there, the poor housing, all these are opportunities. So how can you start a business in one of these areas? We have the Big Four agenda. How can I stick myself in one of that? So it's very important that you start a business that is solving a problem, but most importantly, the business has a value proposition that creates value for the company and creates value for the business owner. Meaning business owner must be paid. All right? And there are those kinds of businesses, as opposed to looking around and seeing, Jerry started, buying clothes from Dubai, I'm also going to go to Dubai. Or Njoroge is getting doors from China, I'm also going to go. Without knowing where you're going to take those doors, or without knowing where you're going to take the cabbages and the onions, you're going to get stuck and you're going to get in trouble. There's the stuck word again.
Again, there's a lot of strategy when it comes to trade.
Yes.
And staying
yes.
in it and actually growing in it. As we're speaking, of course, we'll have this discussion again later on in the big conversation tomorrow. You can join us again.
I'd love to. If you let me.
On the local versus the import. And this came out from of course, a very common, I would call it company, but they do fast foods, if you followed.
The famous Waru story.
The famous Waru story. And you'd ask yourself, suddenly you're replacing this with a different product. What plan didn't we have? What didn't we foresee? We're not trying to market, but we're saying these are concerns and things that actually arise as you're of course speaking. Now let's talk about Always International.
Yes.
We have already told them, well, have a plan. Yes. And one of the plans is identify where the gap is, what will pay you, what is needed.
Yes.
But now the women watching are already beginning to think, how can I be part of Always International? So you want to walk us through that as well?
Absolutely. To be part of Always International, first you need to be part of a local chapter. And because I'm speaking in Nairobi, you need to join Always Nairobi. And joining Always Nairobi is really simple. You need to be a business owner, number one. You need to own a business, and joining Always Nairobi is as simple as going to the website and you fill a form. I think right now it's 5,000 one time and then 10,000 for the year. But that gives you access to a network that is going to give you access to the information you need to be competitive as a business owner, and then to access international trade. Once you're a member of Always Nairobi, you are automatically a member of Always International. You get your profile put on the Always International website. You can engage with anybody on that website who is a member in any part of the world, any of our 23 chapters. Some of the things that happen, people have collaborations. We just had a big collaboration between the African chapters, because we have Always Nairobi, Always Nigeria, and Always Zimbabwe. They had a big conference in November where the Nigerians came, the Zimbabweans came, and the Kenyans were able to exhibit their stuff so that if any people from Nigeria or Zimbabwe need it, they can, they can access it. So the first thing is be a business owner and then become a member. But I always tell people, once you're a member, whether it is of Always or any other organization, remember I said I was a member in 2009, and then in 2014 I became vice president. Between 2009 and 2014, I was participating. I was showing up for the events. I was helping others in their areas of needs based on my profession. So many times I find people feel that I'm going to pay my 15,000 and the magic is going to happen. No, there's work involved in a network. There's going to be meetings. Show up for the meetings. Ask questions. Find out who can you create a power team with. And a power team is, for instance, you sell clothes, there's
Yes.
somebody who sells artifacts. Can you put together, a package that you can sell together? So when you're a member of a network, don't just sit back and think that it's going to be managed. It's going to be magic. Work the network, all right? Be present, offer help, because we are all professionals inside the network. So maybe somebody needs a business strategy, maybe somebody needs packaging, maybe somebody needs, artifacts, the handicraft things to decorate in their home. So be present. All right, don't expect magic to happen. Make the magic happen. Make
the magic happen. Don't expect the magic to happen. Make the magic happen. And that's my take home. And for all of you who are watching from back at home, I want to appreciate you. Remember, we are live on Facebook. You can stream live there and leave us your remarks and your comments on what we are discussing this morning. Have you been battling with trade? And when we say trade, it's your business. We're just speaking the trade because barter trade, for example, the terminology we studied in history at the time.
Those days, yes.
Those days, just the exchange of services and products, and that is what we do as business. And we want to hear if this is impacting, differently in your life. We've talked about digital trade as well, and Always International.
And digital is huge. I didn't touch on that, but carry on.
Please touch on it, because I was going to go into something else, but it's very important that you touch on that.
Yes, it's important I touch on digital because right now, COVID, the silver lining in COVID is that it pushed us into digital. And in digital, you're able, before, like, I'll keep going back to the story of my mom and even my first international trade company. When we had new samples, we had to take a picture and then DHL it to the person. By the time it gets there, then they send us back and let us know if they like it or not. But today, you can use Instagram, you can use Facebook Live, you can have a Zoom meeting with the clients, you can see them face to face. It makes it is so much more better. And also the conferences, the learning, you can be anywhere. You don't have to just be in Nairobi where all the things seem to be happening. As long as you have a Wi-Fi enabled device, you can attend the conferences. Or with Nairobi, Nigeria and Zimbabwe had the big conference, and it was also streamed live, all right? And then also there's another company that had an Africa Trade Conference, and it was all streamed live, and there was a platform where you could do your exhibition and stuff like that.
Amazing.
All because of digital.
Amazing. So what we're saying is you can actually be involved from back at home. Today I'm very specific and intentional about those who are at home, and women, to be specific. Women who say, I'm overwhelmed with domestic, responsibilities. You can still be part of a network. You can be part of a network. Because like always we have our first Tuesday of the month, we have a meeting. We used to have it physical. Now we have it virtual. And if you have a meeting once a month, you can make time and come. There's a lady who comes from Nakuru, I believe. Yeah, you can. Because it's not that far, and it's an investment for your business. Investment for your business. So one thing I've heard every time we talk about business again is the investment. You must be willing to, you must be willing to invest your resources, which is your time, your talent, and your money. All right, yes. 3 things. Yeah, and I'm glad we're talking about women, because women, you see, I always tell women that having a business is like having a baby. All right, when you know you're going to have a baby, you plan for that baby. Which hospital are you going to go to? What are the inoculations that you're going to need for this baby? And the clothes you're going to need, the name you're going to call the baby. And then you look for somebody who's going to help you. The good thing about having a business, you'll have some money to get some help. I saw my mom do that. So I'm not just speaking things from a book, I'm speaking practical. So the key thing is start, all right? And this is going to sound harsh. All right. If we stop whining, we'll start winning. That is not harsh at all. I think it's important in 2022. Yes. Because we're just starting the year to stop whining and start winning. Yes. I think I'm giving that slogan to one of my segments this year. Now, we've talked a lot about Always International. Yes. But there's something else, again, you work with, and it's doing amazing things, impacting women's lives differently. And also men you mentioned are part of, these organizations. The Passion Profit. Taking what you love, like you mentioned earlier, that will be turning into an income activity. And I would ask, how does Passion Profit stand out from other business, skill training? Thank you for that question. Yes. Passion Profit exists to support people to create decent and sustainable work.
So the key thing we do, whatever we do, we want to ensure that the person we are working with is going to turn their passion into a revenue generator. So whether it's going to be a revenue generator could be, I love social media, now that you're into this digital space. I love social media, so how can we help you package your passion for social media so that you can access people that need it and they get to pay you? So one of the things we do at Passion Profit, we work with the youth. So we don't just work with women. We work with both men and women and youth. And we love the youth because the youth are coming out of university with, they're brilliant. They're really brilliant, but they are misplaced because what they have learned in school and what the world looks like is very different. Right. So we help them bridge the gap so that they're able to, one, we say we're able to help them gig in any geography. So when you think of it as a gig, you can do social media for 5 companies, for 6 companies, because it is how you plan your time and day. And then these 5 or 6 companies can be able to pay you, and then you will get the money that you would get from one employer working 8 to 5 every day. So it's all about discipline. We teach them how to break the status quo. Breaking the status quo meaning that you don't have to do what is being done that is not bringing results, all right? And then how to have the grit of discipline of, because you know there's this thing of I don't feel like doing it, so I won't do it. Yes. So if we all waited to feel like it before we did it, I don't think we'd be here. I didn't feel like waking up this morning to get here at 7:30. My day starts at 10.
Oh, thank you.
But here I am, all right? So helping them understand what are the things that must be done, the non-negotiables for their business, having timelines, knowing the tasks that they need to do so that they deliver before they expect that pay. So we do that in a program called WIGWA, Young Global Workforce Agency. Amazing. And then we connect them to small and medium enterprises. Connecting them to small and medium enterprises because SMEs need staff. Yes. They need personnel, but they're not always able to train or mentor this young adult. They don't have the time. We already swapped with what we are doing. So when we connect you to a WIGWA, we call them WIGWAs, Young Global Workforce Agency. When we connect you to a WIGWA, then you're able to focus on your core, and the WIGWA is able to do the different tasks that are needed based on when they're needed. So also the SME doesn't employ them for the 30 days. So it's like a contractual worker. We call it gigpreneurship, right? But everybody is happy. Now, another group of people that we support are people that are transitioning from corporate into entrepreneurship. Because this will sound bad, but just because you're successful in corporate does not mean you're going to be successful in entrepreneurship. In entrepreneurship, you need to find the money to make it work. In corporate, there's a budget that you have, all right? So, and the key thing that the 2 key reasons why businesses fail is access to markets and access to capital. Okay. So we help people make a smooth transition. Many times we start with people that are still working so that they can start, have a prototype, manage their time appropriately, see if it is even going to work, so that they don't just cut the cord before it's, before the time. So this way you find there's a smooth transition, but they also work well and leave a good succession plan at the corporate where they're working. So it's a full ecosystem. That's a full ecosystem from what I hear. And you need to just go start checking out the website because this needs a lot of detail. Needs more time than what we're giving greater on air today. Absolutely. And for 2022, when people ask, this time when we were looking through the social media, even after the fireworks, yes. We didn't see most posts as expected on resolutions. I don't know if I'm the only one who did not notice resolutions for this year. I think resolutions are dying out. Yes. But I think because people are tired of hearing resolutions and they didn't see the results, one thing we do at Passion Profit is we help people plan any 12 months. All right. So it would be your 12 months from January to December. All right. But we have a tool that we use, and we have a program called Thrive Mastery System. With the Thrive Mastery System, you're able to help you look at your 12 months. What do you want to achieve in them? Okay. What are the roles you're going to play? And we plan your goals around your roles so that you're able to balance life and work and thrive. So we always say that balancing is for scales. But how can you integrate life and work so that you can thrive? And once we go through the one-day workshop, you're able to say, okay, this is my 10 big ideas for 2022, and this is what I need to do the first 30 days. You put it in the system, you're able to You're able to score yourself before you meet with your coach, and then you set in your next 30 days. So you can meet with a peer or a coach, but the key thing is that it puts your nose on the grind. So you cannot say that thing is not working, because it is what you want that we are helping you to achieve, and if you put in the work, you achieve it. And I often say that, and if you don't get it within 12 months, you get your money back.
There we go. A lot of Kenyans love that last part.
Instead of a discount, you're going to get your money back.
All right.
Because if you put in the work, you'll get the results. There's no way you'll put in the work and not get results.
So if you're watching today and you've always been saying, well, Frida, I have always been putting in, I put in. You know how people say, I give, and get nothing in return.
It's not possible. It's a universal principle that when you give, you must get.
All right, so let's find out why you're not getting of all the people, and there's a basic universal principle that's not working for you. Let's find out.
You might be pretty special, or from another what do you call another planet.
Maybe I wouldn't mention, but how is Mars this morning? All right, so as we continue, that's such a great thing what you do with Passion Profit, because a lot of youth, even as we speak, a lot of women, even as we speak, and men are like, everyone has some sort of passion, and we've been told over and over, do what you love.
Yes.
Because when you do what you love and you enjoy doing it, it doesn't become an 8 to 5 stress.
And you will do it well.
And you do it well, and you put your all to it, and the effort therefore gets to pay. So we're trying to walk this journey with you so you're not overwhelmed. You're talking about life, balance with the business.
We help you to integrate your life and work, because you see, your business, whether you're employed or self-employed, that is work. Are you doing work that you love? Is it making impact? Is it providing influence and income?
Influence and income.
Yeah, because your income should follow your influence. You see influencers today, are they not making money?
They are making lots of money.
Everyone should be able to have impact, that their influence follow their impact, and income follows.
And this is actually everyone. We're not
everyone,
saying
not
because
just
you pursued this degree.
No.
This is everyone. So please keep talking to me on Twitter and on Facebook.
Yeah.
And we have major issues in politics, major issues in education. Today it's Matter Street. And you having, from where you sit and the experience, let's just pick a few major issues in trade today as we speak.
I hate issues, but here we go. One of the things is the Waru story. Agriculture, all right? Agriculture, manufacturing. You see, if a franchisee was coming in and we had policies to look at the franchisee coming in, what are the raw materials they are going to need? Where are they getting those raw materials? How can we enforce it that all the raw materials they're going to need in their business should come from this country? Because it is possible. All right. Why are the other franchisees, without mentioning names, using our potatoes? But our potatoes are the way they are because the Agriculture Ministry, and I'm going to be very careful about this because I don't have data. I have a client who has a company that helps farmers to get more yield. That means they treat the soil, they get the right seeds. Right now, while this Waru story was going on, there's a company that was saying they were buying potato seeds for $10,000 and farmers were freaking out. You see, if your seed is not right, your harvest will not be right. And who can help this? Who can support this value chain? The government. All right, ensuring that the farmers are appropriately supported so that they bring appropriate yields, so that when the franchisees come in, the franchisee has to make sure that they get from the farmers. But the other problem we have is between the farmer and the buyer, there is a whole, all the brokers and stuff. How can that be sorted out so that we are not importing so much food? We shouldn't be importing eggs. We shouldn't be importing potatoes. But it all starts with at the policy level. All right, and it's not going to happen overnight, but it can happen. We are getting ready to go to the ballot box. So we need to ask the people we are voting for these kinds of questions. And we shouldn't allow ourselves to be given 50 bob and then we go to the ballot and choose the wrong person. We have a great opportunity. I look at every issue as an opportunity to make change. It won't happen overnight, but you can start. Where do we need to have our voices heard? Twitter is great, but Twitter won't change stuff.
All
right. But if you join an association that is on the table of policy making, like at KEPSA. I happen to be the vice chair of SME Club at KEPSA, and KEPSA is about policy. KEPSA makes sure that the SMEs are heard and that policies are favorable, you know, to the business people. So the key thing is, as Kenyans, we need to be more informed about where should we be so that our voice is heard beyond Twitter.
Okay, and that's a good thing you have mentioned, because there's a lot of uproar every time there are concerns like this. And,
yes.
and if you're watching back at home, we love you. We appreciate
Absolutely.
the energy, but we are hoping that you can join an association, you know, of policymakers. What do you actually just draft down, write down, and present?
There are many associations out there that you can join.
Okay.
And it depends on your business and what you're looking for. All right. Because we have Always International. If you want to get into international trade, you already have a business. Because if you don't have a business, I wouldn't recommend you joining Always yet. But be a business owner. You have a product. You're already making revenue, because you will need money to grow this company.
You will,
yeah.
Yes.
So it's baby steps, and then your goal is to get into international trade, or it will help you. If you're just doing business locally, or you want to do business, yes, you want to do business locally, there are other associations. There's SME Founders Association. SME Founders Association helps business owners to enhance their competence, their compliance, and their ability to access capital. All right, so they get training, they get mentorship, so that they're competitive locally. And the same people who are competitive locally, the women, we send them to OWIT. So it's all about collaboration. There's so much work to be done. No one organization can do it on their own.
No one organization can do it on their own, and I'm glad that the rest of organizations are listening in as well and watching and giving us their feedback. And on Twitter, I want to appreciate a lot of you guys who are retweeting this amazing show with the hashtag #TheMorningDrift. _Simon, how are you? Thank you very much for being part of our show. We love that you're getting the impact. People are appreciating, because a lot of people watching, a lot of our audience are young people.
Awesome. I love young people, because I'm old now. So they're energetic, they're brilliant, and they bring fresh ideas. So even the team at Passion Profit is a younger team, because I keep saying, you're the ones who are going to carry on this, you know, this organization. All right. The things I know may not be relevant for now. What are the things we need? You're the ones who are fresh from school. The problem is, how they've learned in school cannot be plug and play at work. So we help them bridge that gap. And
we talk about bridging that gap. A lot of graduates, like you mentioned, have done exemplary well, you know, and amazing degrees they're holding.
Yes.
But they need, you know, that bridge to now what?
The finishing touch.
The finishing touch. I like when you call it that. So if you've been wondering, what do I do with myself? We stop whining and start winning. And we're telling you how to actually start winning.
Yes.
Moses Karaoke is watching. I want to appreciate you very much. And of course, I did not pick them up earlier on, but the fact that it is many organizations, because there's transportation in the import and export as well, allow me to appreciate the NTSA Kenya.
That's the conversation you're having earlier.
Yes, and I'm also always involving and appreciating that they, in one way or another, you never know,
yes,
could be part of an SME somewhere program.
Yeah, because they're part of the logistics, you know, yes, ferrying things from one place to another.
The infrastructure. Yeah. And Celine Nyangere is also with us. A lot of people are following us closely on Twitter. We'll be checking Facebook later on. We've talked about the young people.
Yes.
We've talked about where they can, you know, come in, you know, Passion Profit. But for the sake of maybe somebody's going to do that in a year or cannot access the website as we're speaking. Yes. Excuse me, having to be in trade, there are pillars that hold you there.
Tendency of people wanting, how long did you do it? It's not about how long somebody else did it. It's about what work did they put in. Because if you look at, it was 2 years and she got there, I just need 2 years. No, you need more than 2 years.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
So it's important to look at not the time, but the components and the elements of what is needed.
All right.
How can I be a competitive business? Because when you go abroad, it's not about who you know, it's about the standards. All right, that flour needs to look a certain shape, the peas need to be a certain shape. You see our potatoes are being rejected in our own country. All right, so a competitive business has standards, and having standards not just in your products and services, but also in the way you do things, ensuring that it's going to arrive on time, no excuses. One weakness I see in local business owners, excuses. For instance, now things have not started. In December, everybody was saying, we'll talk in January, we'll talk in January.
Absolutely.
Internationally, they don't close for 3-4 weeks because January is coming, and then we all cry that January is going to be 35 days. Why shouldn't it be 35 days and we didn't work the last 2 weeks of December and the first 2 weeks of January? Money that you see, it doesn't add up. So there's a lot of culture change that needs to happen. You want to ensure if you're going to take that break, you have enough stock, you have enough money to make sure that you can do those kinds of things.
You have shed light that has not been shed for years and ending, because Kenyans have always wanted to understand why, and that is not for me to say, they say, yes. 42 days in January. And Frida here is saying,
I got my first rude shock when I was in the US in December.
Yes.
And
the culture shock.
My first culture shock was my first December in New Jersey. And what happened was we only had 25th as a holiday, not 26th, because they don't have Boxing Day. That is a UK thing. So it was only 25th, and if you wanted to take time off, you could take time off if you had it. All right. So ever since that time, I've changed, this business of trying to close things until, people are coming back, we'll talk. You carry on with work, especially this being an election year. You can't afford to play those silly games. Time is time. And time and chance waits for no man, not even the Kenyan. Every January has 31 days.
Every January has 31 days, and
we know that in December.
And what you have said is, you take the time if you have it.
If you have it and you have the money. And you also don't have to have a very big splashy holiday if you don't have the money. There are many things you can do locally. All right. So I think there's one of the things, you have to be competitive, but there also has to be a mind shift for culture change so that you're doing things that will support you internationally and not just locally.
I like that. So we're looking at this from a global perspective, because we noticed when COVID-19 hit the entire globe, there was a ripple effect. There was, the borders closed. And for some reason, the first lockdown in Kenya, we'll just refer to that, got a lot of homes hungry.
Yes. Because we were not ready for it. And who prepares for a pandemic? But as hard as it was, it came with a blessing in it. I always say that there's a silver lining in every dark cloud. I remember when the president announced, the first lockdown. I was in Mombasa. It was March. I was in Mombasa to launch the Thriving Mastery System, for Mombasa. And we're going to have a physical meeting, and everything had been done. We had 12 people signed up, and then Nairobi called and said that, have you heard there's a lockdown? We are canceling that program. I said, we are not canceling any program. We can go virtual. And we didn't cancel. We went virtual. So I noticed there was a slow shift from physical to virtual, because people still liked face-to-face. So as a business owner, if you want to go global, you must be ready and willing to pivot quickly. You can't keep because many people are like, let's wait and see, let's wait and see.
Absolutely.
2 years, we are still waiting and seeing. So you have to have information, make change quickly, especially as business owners, SMEs, we are nimble, we can pivot quickly. So let's not get stuck to things that are not working. When things are changing, let's be ready and willing to change quickly, so we are not left behind.
And that has really stood out. I was going to ask you among, I will mention that, and of course ask you among other skills, what other skills should, the traders have today are necessary for trade. But you've mentioned being able to pivot quickly, adjusting to circumstances. It was very hilarious, allow me to highlight when you asked me, 2 years and we're still waiting
to see.
What are some very key, and we're not just talking about generally, because there's more than 5. But there are some very key trade skills that you cannot afford to miss as a trader in this century.
You must have some digital skills. You must know how to use email. You must have, first of all, you must have your own domain. You're not going to start saying passionprofit@gmail.com. So you must have digital skills. And digital skills, breaking it down as simple as having an email, knowing how to use Zoom or Google Meet, knowing how to use virtual meeting device is going to be very critical, because you can't travel all the time to go and meet with these people. But first you must have all your business skills. Your business skills, knowing how to handle people, knowing customer service is going to be critical, because you cannot treat people internationally the way sometimes we treat each other here. Oh, sorry, there was no electricity. You know, Kukua Kenya Power. That person on the other side doesn't really care. So you must learn to pivot. Is as simple as, I've noticed Kenya Power cuts off, electricity on certain days here. Yes. On those days, where am I going to be working? Yes. So I'm not giving clients excuses that there is no power. Can I invest in an inverter? Can I invest in a generator? And these are things that you now get when you're going to get a loan. These are the kinds of things that you can invest in.
All right.
So definitely digital skills, business development skills, customer service, managing people, bookkeeping. Bookkeeping. All right, I'm going to make it very simple, call it bookkeeping. Keeping your records, knowing how much did I make, how am I spending it, how much do I need to make every month, and then of course sales and marketing. All right, so anything you need to run a business, you'll need to do a trade, you need to trade with, but more than that, you're going to need to understand the trade documents that you need to be able to export.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And now that is also very easily, readily available through EPC. Export Promotion Council wants to make sure that we're going beyond our borders, so you can get that kind of information there. There is information and there is a lot of help.
There is information and there is a lot of help. There's a lot of positivity in this conversation. People.
And in this country.
And in this country, but you need to be position yourself. And like you said, you cannot work alone. There are networks, there are associations, and there are a lot of websites. There's always International, there's always Nairobi.
Yes.
Reach out.
There's She Trades.
There's She Trades,
yes.
.com, amongst others. And even as we close the big conversation today, I've actually enjoyed it. We keep saying globally outlook, but of course we want to also deal with our local issues. And in 2022, for a trader to thrive, like you said, there has to be an environment to thrive in. And for some reason, because policies are working against you, then it might be a bit difficult. So I would love to hear from you. How does the Kenyan Constitution, and I know you'll start by saying I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a legislator. How does the Kenyan Constitution discourage women in trade? Yeah.
It does not.
Oh, it doesn't. Okay.
I'll be very honest about this, that no matter how bad the environment is, okay, if you want to do something, you're going to do it.
All right.
All right, that's number one. So let's not use the Constitution, the policies, and the environment as an excuse. Let us start and collectively become a voice to challenge those, those institutions. But if we don't start and we just sit back and complain about them, we are not where we want to be. But now you can register your business from home. Have you registered your business, even as you're making noise that the environment is not good? Now you can. When my mom was doing a business, she could not register her. Even I could not register my own first business. But now you can. You just go to a Huduma center. You don't even need to go to a Huduma center. On your phone or in a cyber cafe, you can register your company. So yes, we are not where we'd like to be, but can we start with what is working? Find out of all the problems that exist, which one could you fix? All right? Which one could you package to fix so that you can start generating an income out of that? And then now we can speak more collectively by saying that these are, oh, we don't want so many taxes on us. I like the other day that they said that if an SME employs 10 graduates, they're going to be able to get some tax relief. And of course, the first thing some Kenyans complained about, that is an uphill task. How can an SME engage 10 graduates? You can, because with the WIGWA program, this is a graduate that you can engage, and you will get the tax relief. So let's look at what is working and start there. Do what we can and be at the right tables, all right, to to trigger those conversations instead of just looking at all the bad things. There are some good things that are happening.
And I like when you say be at the right tables.
You can't go there yourself, but you can go there through OIT, you can go there through KEPSA, you can go there through the Kenya National Chamber of, KNCCI.
Yes.
So they are, but the first thing, have a business. So that,
Is it not just a business idea?
Okay, your business idea needs to become a business because nobody pays for ideas.
There you go. I needed to speak for, to hear that from you for the sake of many other young people who say, I have an idea.
You see, because they look at things that happen in Silicon Valley, but we are Kenya. So a lot of things that we see online are great, but we must contextualize it for us.
All right.
There are things that we can do and start generating revenue. And when we start generating revenue, somebody might be interested in that idea and invest in it.
Now, you've always been wondering how to get somebody invest in your work, in your idea. That's the channel. We've given you an entire plan. We've broken down that trade doesn't have to really mean something scientific that you cannot understand. It is that business you have. It is what you're doing at home with the weaving. If you're doing some sweaters and you're doing amazing designs, that is the trade we're talking about. So start trading.
We have a lady, the lady who is starting, sorry to interrupt, the lady who is starting with Uganda, she does sweaters. That's all she does. She was in Dubai, she was in Turkey with her sweaters. She was in Nairobi with her sweaters. So I find that sometimes we look down on what we are doing.
Okay.
But she is in a space where she's connected to information. She has access to where she can take her sweaters, and life is going on for her.
And what you have said makes me very happy. The Look Up TV this morning, hashtag the morning drift, is that channel of information that you need. We'll be having more of these conversations.
It will be my pleasure.
And we are really hoping that Frida Owinga, who is People and Business Development Professional, founder Passion Profit, which we have told you in depth what it deals with, and also the President OIT International, of course, making us understand the journey to that ladder, has been of so much help. We are so appreciative of your presence, and we look forward to success stories next time we meet.
Absolutely.
Joining you here and just highlighting them, with
I'd have loved to come with some
videos.
people who have, who are actually in international trade, who are from OIT.
Yeah.
The time was short, but next time I'll be happy to bring a woman, 2 women or 3.
There we go.
So you can hear from them.
So they can hear, because sometimes they say, oh, we need to see. But also check on the website. That there's more to see and a great community to build. From me, Anki Dorisabat, and from, of course, the team, the Morning Drift team, we want to appreciate you again, and do come again. And
I'd love to.
I'm hoping my camera crew will also be logging in very briefly.
Thank you so